Now, here with his thoughts, analysis, and reaction is North Carolina GOP Representative Addison McDowell. Representative, thank you for being here today.
You got it, Riley. Thanks.
I want to get your initial thoughts to this story. It's heartbreaking. It's obviously not fair. And I just don't know where we go from here as a nation. So what are your initial thoughts about it?
Well, I think that it's important to remember, Riley, that Joe Biden and his administration, they had 11 million encounters at the border. For President Trump in his first 9 months, that has been 1% of what has happened in his presidency. This didn't take new laws, it took new leadership. And thank God, that's what we have back in the White House. One of the things that you said, you called the Biden administration, what they did, a catch and release circus. And I believe that is actually an insult to a circus, because that gives credibility that they knew what they were doing and they didn't. It was incompetence, and what it's doing is getting people killed. And so, thank the Lord that Republicans got back in the White House and that President Donald Trump and his team are in the White House, and they are not sleeping until we get this all taken care of. Because as American citizens, you have to be safe, and you have to believe that you are safe. And you can't have a government that is just letting these people into our country.
Yeah, completely. And to follow up with you there, one point that just really disturbs me, Congressman, so I want to get your thoughts about it. Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Alejandro Mayorkas, they opened the floodgates to, we'll say 10 to 11 million people. Maybe the number is even bigger than that. We have people with convicted records, right? People convicted of homicide, kidnapping. We have drug traffickers, human traffickers, suspected terrorists on the FBI watch list. They flood into the country for the sole purpose of harming our fellow Americans. And then after it's all said and done, Joe Biden just gets away with it. He walks away from the White House. We have President Trump reclaim office or retake office after a landslide victory. But the people who created this mess have seen zero accountability. They're not held responsible for it. And that just doesn't sit right with me. I don't know what we could possibly do about it, but I want to ask you if that's also bothersome to you, because the people who are really responsible for this kind of a crisis have paid no price for it themselves.
Yeah, you're exactly right. It is a shame that Vice President Harris and President Biden could do what they did to our country and just get away. And now they're writing books and doing what they'll do while precious, innocent young lives in New York City are taken by these evil, illegal aliens that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris just let into our country. And it's, there needs to be accountability. And I think that folks in the House like Chairman Jim Jordan and Chairman Comer on oversight, we're dragging these people back to Capitol Hill to answer for what they've done, because these families that have been destroyed forever by these illegals deserve answers, and we have to give it to them.
These situations, these tragedies are cropping up all over the country. It goes to show that thanks to Joe Biden and his actions, every state is basically becoming a border state. So I want to ask you then, what are you hearing from your constituents, if anything, about border security, the lasting impacts of that crisis that was created by the previous administration? Because from what I can tell, everybody around the country right now is on edge about it, and rightfully so, sir.
Sure. Well, I think, the problem is 50% solved. The border is secure. Thanks to the leadership of President Trump and his team, the border's secure. We don't have encounters like we did. We're not letting these terrorists, these rapists, these killers into our country anymore. But the problem is there were 11 million encounters under Joe Biden. We don't know how many people got away, so it was probably upwards of that. And so we now have those people in our countries. And so that's what we have to do. And the president's team has been very focused on identifying who these people are and getting them out. But the sheer volume of people that the Biden presidency allowed to come into our country, it's going to take time to get them all out of our country. And so we've got to be vigilant, and we have to be fast, as fast as we can. But, this poor, young woman in New York, this was a tragedy that didn't need to happen. And I think that President Trump has proven that, because all it took was a new executive, a new commander in chief that just said, hey, if you come to America now, you're not getting a free cell phone, a free hotel room, and a $1,000 Visa prepaid gift card. You're getting a first class ticket back out of our country. And that's all it took.
To your point, Congressman, I'd like to get your thoughts or your assessment about the current performance we're seeing from people like Border Czar Tom Homan, DHS Secretary Kristi Noem, and everybody in this current administration who seems to be working extremely hard and tirelessly to right the wrongs of the past. What is your assessment of their job performance to date?
I think that they are doing an absolutely phenomenal job. They work very well together, Tom Homan is the man. I mean, we've got a guy that if I'm an illegal and I'm sleeping in the United States, the last thing I think about before I go to bed is, God, I hope that guy doesn't show up. I think him and Secretary Noem and all of the cabinet and the president and the vice president are doing a fantastic job. They've focused on this because the most urgent need that we had as a country is we have to be safe.
Yes.
And so I'm grateful for the work that they're doing. They're doing a fantastic job. And any support that they need out of the legislative branch, I'll do what we can to make sure they get it.
So speaking of then, let's come back to New York City, or to New York, where this horrific tragedy unfolded on Saturday. I don't know what the next steps are, but it's very frustrating. You have someone with a criminal record who was previously deported, who came back into the country illegally again, stole an American life, just like that, in cold blood. What is the next step in the process for detaining this individual, apprehending them, and delivering justice to them?
Well, I think, the thing that gives me pause is just knowing what her family's going through. I lost my little brother to a fentanyl poisoning. And so I know what it's like to lose somebody to open border policies that the Democrats have pushed. And so I feel very, very sorry for their families that leadership or a lack of leadership in Washington resulted in death. It resulted in their family being forever broken. And now they have to move forward. And I can imagine, because it's what I wanted, it's why I ran for Congress. I wanted leadership in Congress and in Washington, D.C. that actually did something about it. Not just said, you know what, there's fentanyl flowing across our southern border. We're going to just let it keep coming. I wanted somebody that would say, it's going to stop. It's going to stop right now. And that's what I've tried to be. But I just feel so sad for their families, because that's not what they deserved. They didn't deserve that. They deserved leadership that didn't allow this to happen in the first place. And so I'm just so sorry to them.
I am praying for them. We need patriots now more than ever to stand by what is right and to fight for the American people. So I know you're a busy person, but I want to thank you for your time today, and thank you for your insight as well.
You got it. Thanks so much, Riley.